Ik ben wel in voor iets nieuws. Het is iets, je kunt het zelf doen. Het is niet wachten tot iemand, een geleerde het uitdoktert of een minister of een bestuurder het voorschrijft. Je bent gewoon zelf aan zet om op een andere manier naar je voedsel te kijken. Herenboeren is een groep mensen van ongeveer 200 huishoudens investeert in een oprichting van een eigen boerderij. Ze pakken de grond, ze nemen een boer in dienst en die produceert het eten dat de leden willen eten.
Je weet gewoon echt letterlijk waar je eten vandaan komt.
Mij voornamelijk om dat logistieke, dat ik gewoon vlak bij mijn eten woon. Dat ik mijn varkens ken, dat ik weet welk varken geslacht wordt. Dan hoor je er eentje.
En ook dat we er eigenlijk zelf op sommige momenten ook nog aan hebben meegewerkt. We hebben op de plantmachine in het voorjaar bijvoorbeeld mee de plantjes gezet voor de kolen.
Wat belangrijk is dat de herenboer mede-eigenaar is van deze boerderij. En dus ook mede-eigenaar is van alles wat hier geproduceerd wordt.
En dat je dat ook na een aantal maanden op een gegeven moment weer van je land af mag halen inderdaad, ja, dat is prachtig.
Je laat zien dat je met een groep mensen een boerderij kunt oprichten en daar met elkaar van kunt eten. En door die stap te zetten als individu draag je gewoon langzaam bij aan een stapsgewijze transitie naar een nieuw voedselsysteem in Nederland. Je ziet langzaamaan dat herenboeren vanaf een plek waar gewoon voedsel geproduceerd wordt steeds meer een maatschappelijke beweging wordt over gewoon een andere manier van in je eten voorzien.
We zijn onderdeel van de herenboeren en daar ben ik wel trots op inderdaad. Van hetgeen wat je dus hier van het land krijgt inderdaad. Ja, dat is gewoon heel mooi, want daar staan wij ook voor.
Het samenkomen op de boerderij bindt ons allemaal. En daarmee voel je je deelgenoot van een groter geheel. En dat begint bij onze eigen herenboerderij. Maar het is eigenlijk veel groter.
Ooit begonnen aan dit concept om uit te rekenen met de gedachtesprong wat als elke Nederlander zijn eigen boerderij zou hebben. Daar krijg je 17 miljoen boerderijen van. Dat is natuurlijk niet doenlijk, hè? Dat ga je niet maken. Daaruit komt hoeveel mensen heb je dan nodig om op één boerderij, hè? Dat is het concept van de herenboerderij. Maar terugkijkend naar 17 miljoen Nederlanders. En je zou dat met 500 monden per boerderij zoals we het hier doen, dan heb je 35.000 bedrijven nodig om Nederland op deze manier te kunnen voeden. En als die 20 hectare zijn zoals deze, dan heb je dus 35.000 keer 20 hectare, dat is 700.000 hectare. En 700.000 hectare is minder dan 1/3 van het Nederlands buitengebied. Dus het is mogelijk om met dit systeem of met een vergelijkbaar systeem al die consumenten te kunnen voeden en te binden.
Ja, je moet er tijd in steken, maar als je het dan eet, dan weet je ook gewoon, ja, dit is gewoon lekker.
Kijk om je heen. Dit is toch veel leuker dan een Albert Heijn. En ik kom nog steeds wel eens in de Albert Heijn hoor, dus het is ook niet zo dat dat weggaat. Maar ik vind het ontzettend leuk om iedere week op een boerderij te komen en gewoon te zien hoe mijn eten tot stand komt.
De 2000 euro die wij eenmalig investeren, geeft je eigenlijk een leven lang toegang tot eerlijk, traceerbaar, veilig en duurzaam geproduceerd eten. Als je dat op een leven lang eten zet, is die 2000 euro eigenlijk helemaal niet zoveel geld. Wij willen allemaal geen nummer zijn, maar op de een of andere manier is het nummer van je lidmaatschap op deze herenboerderij is een soort van trots die je uitstraalt van ik ben lid nummer 46. En dat is, ja, ik krijg er nu alweer kippenvel van, dat is mooi.
Als we met z'n allen dit gaan doen, dan hebben we daar gewoon op 700.000 hectare in Nederland gewoon echt veranderd. Echt veranderd. Dan hoef je alleen maar zelf lekker door te gaan eten.
Op het moment dat je nadenkt over het investeren in een huis en in je huisvesting, dan wordt er makkelijker geïnvesteerd of een hypotheek afgesloten. Terwijl we het hier over iets anders bazaals hebben in ons leven, namelijk de primaire behoefte aan voedsel. En dus eenmalig een investering doen van 2000 euro om een leven lang toegang te hebben tot je voedsel, is in dat licht gezien eigenlijk een kleine bijdrage. Dus investeren in je huis, hartstikke goed. Investeer ook in je voedsel.
Thank you all for being here. Quite nice to see all of those faces all over the world, I reckon. So thank you for attending this meeting and give me the chance to tell you what I'm doing and why we are doing this.
First of all, my background is in tree nursery. So we were growing trees for commercial use, and that's my first contact with the rural way of living. And through that, I get connected to nature. And I was always planning to be an ecologist. So I went to the university to look there, is this something for me? But I think it was too theoretical. So I went to the University for Applied Science to be more concrete in my work. And then I went to the School for Higher Agricultural Education in 's-Hertogenbosch. And what I did, I followed the course of being a farmer, to put it out that way. And I was still looking through the eyes of the ecologist. And I thought, okay, what is happening here? What are they teaching me here? You have to know that we live in a country. The Netherlands is a really small country, as you know, but we are the second exporter of agricultural products. That means there is just one big South American country exporting more than we can do netto. So what we do is we have a 95 billion income out of the export of agricultural products. That means that 80% of what we produce, 80% of what we produce will be exported at this moment. 80%. And what happens is that 75% of what we export is going to Belgium, Germany, and the UK. So it's the countries nearby. Problem there is that we are producing a lot of food, but it never reaches the places where hunger is. Yeah, so it's a distribution problem we have. So I was thinking, if you see what agricultural traces do here, what the spin-off of agricultural activities is here, is that we have a really poor quality on soil. So there is no life anymore in soil, and soil is the beginning of all life. So that's the reason that we put soil in the center of everything. And then when you look at the quality here in the Netherlands, it's really poor. There is also a really big devaluation of biodiversity. We have a lot of over 70% of biodiversity mass, as in insects, etc. So that's also a really big amount of degrees. Well, I can go on. You know, I've seen because on the planet paragraph there is a lot to which is not going well, and it's also on the social paragraph as well. So when you look at people, profit, planet, I've seen really a lot of farmers in big trouble, social problems. Not to talk about even taking lives from themselves because of what is happening here in this country. Talking about the income of the farmer, you have to know some facts and figures. The average farmer here in the Netherlands has to invest 3 million to gain his farm. What he does each year is about 300,000 euros, and what he gains for an income is about 30,000. So you have 3,300,000, 30,000, and the 30,000 is well, let's do it roughly. Half of it is owned by himself. The other half comes from Brussels, and it's called income support. So the farmer here in the Netherlands is able to make 15,000 euros on an investment on 3 million. So I wouldn't say that's a quite pleasant position. So when I tell you all this is the situation I saw, and I wanted to do something about it. And it took me a long while. I started working on that in 2003 when I started to think of short chain projects, like how can we shorten the chain between consumer and producer, because when we do that, you skip a lot of costs as well. Costs that supermarkets made for marketing, made for logistic reasons, etc. And then there would be more money left over for the farmer, and when there is more money left over for the farmer, we can ask more from him on the as in biodiversity measures, etc., etc. So I've been working 10 years on short chain projects, and it was in 2012 that I reckoned that there was a moment I stood still in my life and I thought, okay, there is at this moment in our country 2% of market, 2012, 2% of the market is organic food. And I thought, okay, what am I doing with my short chain project? Because when we have spent 20 years to develop the market for organic food here in the Netherlands, and we have only 2%. What am I going to do with short chain? So, and then I thought, okay, skip everything I did. I built a couple of venues to support the short chain projects, etc. I skipped everything. I sit still, and I thought, what can I do? And then I thought, okay, we have to rethink over everything. We have to restart, from scratch. What would we do if we start from scratch? And then I thought, what is the goal of food production? The goal of food production is that we can eat. And that's the only reason. And what we want to do is do it in a proper way. So we want to develop a way that we are not depending on banks and loans. We want to develop a way that we are good for biodiversity, for soil quality, for landscape, environment, water. We have to be very careful with because there is too much when we don't need it, and there is nothing when we need it. So there are a lot of themes, and I thought of, is it possible to think of a concept that can answer all that questions? And that is the concept you just saw. It's called the Herenboeren. When I'm doing this for international group of people, I always say it's kind of family farm. It's a cooperative farm. Like the video showed you, it's 200 households, 20 hectares, 2,000 euros they invest. When they do that, they bring together 400,000 euros. And with that amount of money, we do all the investment needed to start the farm. But then when the production starts, every member of the farm, what we do is cost sharing. So we calculate what we need on the annual base. We split the cost over all the members, and they pay on average here in the Netherlands. It's about 10, 11 euros per person per week eating from the farm. And when we do that and we compare what we can bring on our farm, so mixed with animals like pigs and cows for meat, we have chickens for eggs and meat, we have vegetables, we have fruit, we have quite amount of food, like 60% of your needs, for 10 euros per person per week. And we compare that to supermarket, and we are a lot cheaper than organic food in supermarket, and we are around supermarket average prices. So therefore, you have the better food, the best food, for the same price in supermarket. You have the average regular food. So okay, that was what we designed. I think what we needed to do different was bring people together, and I think that at the end has turned out to be the core of our concept. Bond people together. And when we bond people together, re-socializing them, taking them out of isolation, giving them a warm group, they can do a lot. And what all people over the world do is eat. So what can we better do than gather people around their food? And therefore we started with this concept. We didn't start with the concept just with one farm. We started with one farm, but we had a bigger story, and the story you heard that in the video, the 700,000 thing. Actually, what the big shift is we want to make is that at this moment, nowadays, 2% of the people are occupied in the agricultural primary sector. Yeah, 2%. 98% of us do other jobs. Yeah? And the shift we want to make is they are professionally involved, 2%, but what we want to do is have 100% of the people involved, not with occupation, but with connected with food production. So that's a big shift. We want everybody to be involved with food production. Yeah? So that's the shift we want to make. And then we started calculating, and there came the figure of the 35,000 farms came there from there. But it's also possible in other regions because we are actually a principle-based concept. Yeah? But what I like to show right now, and I have a little PowerPoint for that, is how a little farm started in 2012, ended up in a big system change. And I'd like to tell you something more about it. It's not a very attractive thing to see, but what you see at the screen right now is the whole ecosystem we're working on. I will talk you through. When it works, yes, there it is. So in yellow, you see actually the one concept. We have individual members of a co-op, and the co-op hires the farmer. So this triangle is the concept of one farm. We have 200 households as member of the co-op. There is a farmer hired by the co-op producing the food. So they are paying the contribution, and in return for that, they get everything the farmer is able to produce in the farm. We started with one farm in 2015. Right now we have 8 operational farms and 28 projects in preparation, and half of it is already having a place to build the farm. So what we calculate right now, we can do up to 6 farms each year from now on until the pipeline ends. But with kind of stuff like Corona, etc., to us it's very helpful because the pipeline grows. Last month we have a growth of at least 20%. So this is the concept in the core. What happened right now is that next one is that all the farms we started are now gathering in a, let's say a mother corporation. They are becoming, they are gathering together. Because what I want is not too much involvement of our organization. We are a foundation. So what is happening now is that we are founding literally the Herenboeren Netherlands co-op. And the members of the co-op are the individual farms. So right now, every individual member in the Netherlands, we already reach out for 10,000 households right now, is also able to discuss with us what to do on a national level. So it's fully democratical. I always think in triangles. So what we do, the farmer was hired by the co-op, but actually we are the one who are employing them. So my foundation employs the farmers, and we put the farmers, which there are people, but we put the farmers into the local system. So there is always a connection between us and the co-ops in the occupation of the farmer, and that is necessary to be able to teach the farmer how to produce, because we want to be the most sustainable food producers. So we are having our own, I will tell you something later on, our own education program for the farmers. And what happened right now is that the 8 farmers we have right now, and even a program with 20 other farmers is running right now, these farmers are also gathered in a co-op. So what happens is that all the cost for labor will be put in here, so they can share the cost the way they want to share it, but they are equally responsible for all the farms. So when there is a farmer gathering fruit, they can hire it, they can put him on farm 1 in one day and on the second farm the other day. So together they have the knowledge to run all the farm. Yeah? And this is what we organize. This is the core of our organization. And this is what we built it in the last couple of years. But you have to think, how can we do this faster? How can this be a game changer? And then, I need to tell this first. What we do right now is we have a big service desk created in the past years. And in the service desk, there are services. The Dutch word for services is diensten. At services, we have experts in there. We have people working for us. And what we do is we take over all the things you don't want to do, like administration, financial, invoicing, etc., and also all the IT stuff, like on the logistics, etc. We took over in the service desk. So there is also a triangle here. Like we are from the concept. We are having agreement on the service desk, and the service desk can also ask questions. The corporation can ask questions for services over there. So this is how it practically works. Again, we started thinking on how can we, as a little concept, look, we have about 55,000 farms in the Netherlands. That's what we have right now. When we started in 2012, in 2003, there were about almost 90,000 farms. So there were about 25,000 farmers have been stopped, 6 each day here in the Netherlands. And one of the key issues is that soil prices are far too high. And the price we pay for soil here in the Netherlands for 1 hectare is about 50,000 to up to 125,000 euros per hectare. Compared to other countries, it is 5,000. So it's a lot more what we have to pay, and that has everything to do with speculation. When you buy soil today, tomorrow there is a higher value to gain when you put it back in the market. So what we started thinking of is, how do we get, as a newcomer in this market, how do we get soil for our farms? How do we get land? How do we get land for our farms? And then we started thinking of establishing a fund for a soil fund. And we call it right now aardpeer. That's a wink, the Dutch word, but aardpeer fund for soil fund, actually a land trust, so to speak. And we do that with partners like Triodos Bank here in the Netherlands. We also have Weiland for the people who are from the Netherlands. And we do it with Stichting BD Grondbeheer. And that's a foundation who buys for a period for 40 years already land to provide the biodynamic organic farmers with their land. So with these partners, we have funded our land trust. And by the end of this year, we will launch an obligation set of 50 million. So this is a real possible place for investment here. If you want to invest for impact, you can do that through our fund. And so please be invited. So that is a possibility. So this fund buys the land, and through our service desk, we provide our co-ops with the land they need. But this is not only working for Herenboeren, it's also working for other sustainable farmers. So every farmer in the Netherlands can now get in contact with the fund and tell them about I want to do it sustainably, etc. Can I have the land? Well, in the Netherlands, for the people who are acquainted here, there are more of these kind of initiatives. So we're working together with them. So we are trying to close the network of community land trusts here in the Netherlands. And for those who are acquainted with what happens outside the Netherlands, we have to listen very carefully, and we're working with Terre de Liens in France, the Landgenoten in Belgium, Pomona in Belgium. So we have already a couple of international relations built on this team. So we're working together on how does ownership of land should look like here in Europe. When we go back, so this is just one thing we did extra. You know, we're back here at the center of the ecosystem. You will reckon our foundation and the farmers co-op. And what we did in addition, what we didn't want to do is develop next to the existing system. We want to be in connection with the existing system of agricultural food production. So what we did is we founded Caring Farmers. And Caring Farmers is a group of, at this moment, 166 farmers who joined actually our movement. And they said yes to the same goal we have. We want to have food from ecosystems instead of food from food production systems. So how do we get there? Farmers from all over the Netherlands, organic, not organic, dairy farmers, meat production, horticulture, everything is combined here in 166 farmers. And our farmers are also the member of that network. So we established the network. We were one of the initiative takers, and our farmers are also joining. So here there is a lot of inspiration and experience exchange. And in addition, there is the need, because we do not know nothing about, at least we know just a little on how sustainable food production should look like. We know that soil is the center of every farm, needs to be the center of every farm. But we know more about the stars and the planet than we know from our own soil. So what we do is, at this moment, we establish this, let's say, test farm, where we can do a lot of testing together with engineers, with researchers, etc. So this, and with that, we do that in ownership of the farmers. So the farmers own the test center, and with that we break a lot of another change. We reach another change because we have a lot of knowledge partners and researchers. Maybe you know the Wageningen University, for example, and what they do is they get assignments from a government, and what they find out is not always reaching. I won't say never, but it's not always reaching the farmer. So we have no influence on what research has been done, how it's been done, by whom it's been done, etc. So what we do right now with this test farm, we have this is a 80 hectare farm in near Boxtel, and this farm is, like I said, owned by the farmers, but it's working together with all the knowledge partners in the Netherlands. We have letter of intents for this farm from Wageningen University, from Louis Bolk Institute for people who are acquainted with them, from the TU in Eindhoven, Technical University, because there is a very much interest in robots and drones and what they can do in new forms of farming, etc., etc. We have a lot of knowledge partners here, and what we do right now in this triangle, we're also working on dissemination. And so we're gaining new insights and new knowledge together with the partners, and we're also doing the dissemination. And the dissemination is for all farmers, and yes, our own farmers are also being educated through this line. So now we have the three things of the Changemaker system here. We have the farm itself, and with all the profitable stuff on the farm, we are solving the soil problem, the land problem, and we have the knowledge back in our hands. And so the knowledge system is needed as a guarantee on how farmers will use the soil. So what we here do, we have an opportunity to invest for research, and I think I want to invite you to do that because there is a lot to do, and even and every day I talk to farmers, there is the list of what we do not know and is wanted to know becomes longer and longer. Okay, well, let's skip this one because there are more farms in the Netherlands. For example, the market is also a test farm, and it's now in the hand of the university, but farmers are taking over right now. So we have a big movement of farmers taking over the test places to shift the knowledge development as well. But when we are there with the caring farmers, they are not only concepts like us. They are working for the market at this moment, and there are also providers. You know, the people who deliver the tractor and all the other things the farm needs. So by doing this together with the other test farms, we are able to reach in market. And what we do right now, we are developing a lot of new stuff the farmer can work with. Like I told you about the robots and the drones. There are new concepts, and we do that we want to do that with the people in the market, the providers of the farms as well. So from a little farm and one foundation, we are changing right now the whole ecosystem. And let me tell you one thing: we have a business model that enables us to do this, because the farms in the co-op, they pay an annual contribution to the cost we make in our foundation. Therefore, it's self-sustainable. But what we need to do is so big and so huge that what we do is also ask for subsidies or other programs to participate in. But my last remark would be, mind you, I think a quarter of our time goes to filling in forms to report what we need to do to get our funding. So there is a little cry out here as well, and that I will end with. What we're really looking for is a couple of families standing around us, embrace us, who say, okay, we believe these guys, we believe what they're doing, we will help them, and what we're looking for concrete, and I'd be as brutal to do this, but what we need is a couple of 2 million euros in 5 years, so 500,000 for 4 years, 500,000 per year for people who say we embrace this. So this is charity money we're looking for. So therefore, I have the whole map completed. You can invest in soil for impact. You can join us in the research program, and there is possibility as well to support us with charity. So this is the whole ecosystem we have built up since 2012, I think, when we started thinking on the farm. So one little farm can do a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Geert. Really, really inspiring. I think it's the first time I really hear all the details of the entire ecosystem, and I think it's really, really energizing. So I have a few questions, and there are also some questions from the people who are here. First of all, and this is maybe a small question, is what so you talk about the soil in the Netherlands is not good anymore. Are you also doing something to actually regenerate the soil? So are you using methods that actually, like permaculture or regenerative methods?
Exactly. First of all, the techniques in our farm are aimed for that, you know, and they are based on, there are influence of permaculture, there are influence from agroecology and agroforestry, and we combine all that. So we have a lot of green fertilizer we use. We have no chemicals and no fertilizer as well. You know, we stick to this goal of per farm. Every Herenboeren farm commits to the goal of no inputs. And when you have no inputs, there will be no emissions. So you have to make everything circular. And yes, as long as we eat from the soil, we distract nutrients, of course. So will it be ever completely circular? I don't know. But this is the goal every farm has signed for. So that's where we do it concrete. And when in the soil fund, there is also a lot of restrictions when you get the soil, the land, on the same topic. So you have to be really circular to and set the soil central. In what we do. Yeah.
And you are as much as a big thinker as we are all probably, but in Ashoka, I mean, we always want to look global, and we probably believe also this, we are in a really big shit at the moment if we don't get our act together on agriculture. So how scalable is this model and I think in the chat this was a question asked in multiple ways. The Netherlands is, of course, another type of country than we have some people here from Africa or from South America that have very different organizations, but also the soil might be in a different state. So could this model also work in a global context, and how? And what can we learn from that?
Yeah, thank you for the question. It's a really relevant question, because what we see here is the Dutch situation, the Dutch context. Yeah? And we are working now together with people in France, and we also have some tryouts in Sweden, for example. And what you see is, of course, that the contexts are changing. So climate is different, or traveling distances are different, social context is different, landscape is different. So what we are doing right now is we are transforming our concrete working model in the Netherlands into a principle-based model for the rest of the world. And there are a couple of principles. We could share another meeting with discussing on the principles, but it has everything to do with putting land to get back in the hand of people. And when you start from there, that has nothing to do with ownership. You know, it has to do with the access to land in the hand of people. And when we do that, combining with goals like no inputs, etc., we think we can replicate it at least in Europe. And I'm very curious what we could reach when we start thinking of South Africa and other countries. The big shift we have to make here in the Netherlands is that we should not produce our fodder on soil that could be used by people living in the country we're using it for, where we're distracted from. We at least have, in the Netherlands, 3/4 of our surface. Another time, we use that abroad. What's happening over there, that's where the fodder for our pigs is growing. So by importing all that fodder, we occupy more than our own country for the food production. So therefore, I think one of the principles should be stay local. And you can think of a lot of principles, and we have already done that. So I think it's not the model you have to copy, do never copy, but think with us on the principles behind it.
Yes, great, thank you. Another question that came up here in the WhatsApp, and I wanted to add something around it, which is what is the role of education here, or what is the connection of education, or what should be the role of education? And then what I want to add, which is a different, slightly different perspective, is what is, like, how do you organize yourself? What is learning in your context? Because I hear that you are creating a learning platform in a way, but so how can you combine the two, learning amongst yourself and educating maybe younger people?
Yeah, exactly. Well, there is we differ two types of education. You know, you have the education to become the professional, so the training to become a farmer. So that's more to become the professional. But we'd like to start with kids. We'd like to start with our primary schools. And what we are preaching for is that everyone in the world should, and let's start in the Netherlands, but everyone in the world should be taught what food is, how it grows, how you harvested it, how you can cook with it, how you can. I reckon at this moment, when I'm looking around here in the Netherlands, that the average knowledge of food and food production is really bizarre nothing, because what we tend to do is to put it in a microwave, put it on 1000 watt, and do it for 3 minutes, and then ping, and that's the way we treat food at this moment. So I think when we are starting learning our kids again how food grows and how it's harvested and how you use it, I think a whole new, and here comes the big shift, a whole new economy will occur. Because when you are reconnected with soil and food, I think we are gaining another pair of glasses you can put on through where you look to the world. Because you feel the connection with nature, you feel also the dependency. Let me tell you one little story. Here in the Netherlands, we have already had 2 summers of 41 degrees Celsius. What happens then at the field where your food is growing is that your cauliflower, for example, burns. Okay, we have to tell all the members that it happened. Yeah? What happens in supermarket? Supermarket says, oh, no cauliflowers in the Netherlands. I'll take it somewhere. I take them from somewhere else in the world. So consumers do not know that there is something happening with 41 degrees. So I think that is what we call offering experiences. So when we tell our kids again that this is happening, I think we will look on the complete other way on climate change, or whatever we do with plastics, or whatever we do with, why are we putting a car in a circle around the world? Because we can pay it. It has been done, people. So I think we start to make other choices when we are reconnected. So start with the kids. I think that's the most important thing.
Thank you. Great. Really, really energizing. We would like to go for the last question. Karen is going to ask. This was a question from someone else, but and after that, I think it's nice to go in subgroups to question ourselves a bit more. But Karen, do you want to take it?
Well, I saw a question interesting from one of the Herenboeren, Geert, asking a question about the soil fund. Could you maybe tell in short
when the fund is available? How does it work?
It is already available. We are running already on pilot projects. For example, the farm in Geert, the Herenboeren land van Weert, for people who know them. That soil, that land has been bought by the fund already. So it works already. Yeah? So what people need to do when you are an initiative taker of a Herenboeren farm yourself, please get in contact with us, because we have a fully support desk to help you to build the farm. Don't make the mistakes we made already. Yeah? Please contact us. And if you need soil, please contact us, because we can get you into connection with the soil fund. It's already working.
And can I ask one more question, Geert? And I see Eline also. So Eline, go first.
I'll get in touch with you later.
Okay, great. You know how to find each other. I have one small question, since we have people from South Africa, I believe, and also Latin America. I do believe we should use the momentum. I see maybe there is some need to connect about these concepts and to share knowledge around them. So please, people that would like to follow up on this, there is a support form where you can contact us, and obviously we will connect you with Geert. Right, Geert? I mean, you are interested also to see how the model can work in totally different contexts. So,
exactly. So please do. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, we would like to use some of the time before we close with Geert to go into smaller groups to discuss and to actually visualize how our lives could look like if this concept that Geert has just explained would be the norm in the whole world. So we would like to invite you to come to the breakout session. We will help you with this exercise to envision this, because this really requires some moment of silence and envisioning. And then we would really love to know what comes out of that and what kind of feelings and ideas you have around it. So please join us in the breakout sessions, and then we will have a plenary closing with Geert after that. I want to do as a closing and to thank Geert for his wonderful presentation and answering our questions. I would love to hear from each breakout group a few takeaways that we can take into this weekend and think and ponder a little bit more about. Geert, where are you? You were also in one of the groups, and it would be great if you could share what came out, what vision of the future.
I think we ended up in questioning each other and telling each other what each of us was doing, and I think we had a beautiful overview on how a lot of differences, let's say landscape differences, climate differences, but also, and I think that was the biggest talk we had about social differences, and I think that's. There was too little time to create a beautiful vision, but it was more like, okay, there is a big challenge in all these differences, and how can we learn from each other? Because I think it's not me who has to do this. You and your country do know much more about culture, etc. And I think by sharing experiences and insights, I think we can do a lot more. In the Netherlands, maybe Mauricio, I do it right now. I was going to answer something. I think we are very rich, but at the same time we are very poor, because what we are doing is we're chasing money. We have to work very hard every day, and that's what we do. And I think it's very poor. So what we're doing right now is bring people together, and that's what we call the social capital. We try to mobilize the social capital. What are the skills of people? What do they do? What do they like? How can they bring that skills into a community? And that enriches life, you know? And I thought that is one thing I heard also in the discussion of okay, what if we are poor? What if we can do it? I don't know whether money is so important, you know? We talked about sharing time. I can put my time in to be occupied and go to the boss every day. And when I have money, I go to the supermarket to buy food. I could also do it differently. I could put my time in producing food. there is no boss, there is no money. And that kind of thoughts, that was what we shared. Yeah.
Thanks so much. That thought definitely also crossed my mind sometimes. I also would love to hear from the group of Lotte. What came out there? Lotte, could you maybe share with us?
Yes, of course. Yeah, we had a really nice conversation. I think first we started off with all the beautiful things that would come from implementing the system on a larger scale, from, you know, health benefits to climate benefits and social inclusion, and, you know, kids being engaged, growing up with a much closer relationship to nature. But I think maybe 2 points that were interesting to mention is that we talked a little bit about the challenge for the people who are not able to maybe pay the 2,000 euros that you have to. So how are you going to, if you want to implement this on a wider scale, how will you make it financially accessible to everyone? And we had some nice ideas about that. For example, of course, you will have to be able to buy a house as well then, but say that when you buy a house or go somewhere to live or you rent a place, that a membership comes with that automatically, right? So just an amount of that cost is just deducted like that. And or if it's like a present from the state, you know, when you finish kindergarten or high school, when you become 18 or whatever, or something like that. And we also talked a little bit about the role of supermarkets and how they may change and become just more of a place where you get your exclusive luxury products, like things that you cannot get nearby. So you can get your Spanish bottle of wine, or your chocolate from Peru, or papaya from somewhere exotic. So that the role of supermarkets change as well.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Wow, it's amazing what you have envisioned during this short breakout discussion. Yeah, I could really think along with your story. Finally, I would love to hear from the group that I was part of, but I would love to hear from Geert, because I really liked what he said, a very valuable takeaway for me. With his Nigerian background, Geert, you brought up an interesting insight. Could you share?
Oh yes, I grew up in Nigeria. I live in the UK, but I grew up in Nigeria. This is something that has been done historically, where we trade locally. This is before the Industrial Revolution. I'll call it Industrial Revolution, but it's when I grew up in the village, everybody trade with everybody else. If you have excess produce, you then trade it into someone that has something else. Like, for instance, if our farm has more potatoes, we take it to a central market where somebody else has extra banana, and then we can trade it. Also, this really helps in the sense that everybody gets a share of everyone else's food. And also, the downside of this, like was mentioned earlier, is that you don't get produce like chocolates or things that you cannot produce in your local community. Those are the disadvantage of it. And I think in my group as well, we also discuss about land, the right to land, and because that's another big issue with it. If that is being sorted out, then the issue will be less. But I think that is a big issue as well. So basically, if we go back to the way things are and retweet a little bit, things will be sustainable for everybody.
Yes, great. Thank you so much, Geert. We're coming to the end of the session. We're almost, we were almost in time, but it was so interesting. We wanted to have this recap of all groups. And I wanted to ask you if you all registered for this session. We believe so, but if not, please put your email in the chat because we want to come back to you with some information after the session. And also, I see that people want to reach out to Geert directly. I just asked him if he was ready to share his email in the chat. If not, then please reach out to Ashoka. We want to thank you, Geert, for your contribution today. I think we all were super inspired by your concrete explanation of how you work and how you build your ecosystem. I think that was super insightful. So thank you very much on behalf of all of us. Also to everybody here in this session that you took the time on this Friday before everybody goes off to their weekend to spend with us. As explained, Ashoka is always looking for partnerships, interesting partnerships. We are also looking for those individual supporters that we call Ashoka support networkers. So please, if you know somebody or think you have an interesting connection for us, reach out. So yeah, then we say enjoy your weekend. We hope you have a lovely one, and hope to connect soon with the next Ashoka Changemaker stories upcoming from September. So please stay on the lookout on our social media to see what's coming next. Thank you very much.